Now, that news today, of course, was very difficult in Sydney to be going into another month, effectively, of this lockdown. And it was information that I suspect most Sydney-siders expected. My own family, of course, is there, and I'm talking constantly to people back in Sydney, and it is tough going. But what I want to assure you of, absolutely assure you of, as you've already heard from the Premier and the Treasurer of New South Wales, that the Commonwealth Government has your back, just as we've had the back of Australians all through this crisis, ensuring way back to last year, whether it was the economic supports we provided through JobKeeper and JobSeeker, COVID supplement, the cash flow boost, the support packages to the arts and entertainment industry and to the aviation sector. This continues to flow, and the priority is to ensure we're there to support those who need that help, because this is the task. We will come through the lockdown. The lockdown will be released, as it has been, thankfully, in South Australia and in Victoria. And on the other side, we come back strongly. That's what we saw last year, when 1 million people got back into jobs, when we saw our economy grow back to a level higher than it was, even before the pandemic. And the way we are structuring these supports to people, whether it's the individual payments or the business support payments, are to ensure that those businesses and those individuals can get through as whole as possible through these lockdowns, so on the other side, our economy can roar back on the other side. So that is what it's designed to do, and our measures of support are never set and forget. All states and territories, together with the Commonwealth, are working closely as we're adjusting how we're dealing with this Delta strain, how we're adjusting on the ground when it comes to the way lockdowns are being put in, quick and effective, as we've seen, and those states come out of it, but also to learn the lessons, ensure that we're giving every support we can to the ongoing situation in New South Wales. Now, I can confirm what the Premier and the Treasurer in New South Wales have already said. Over the course of the last several days, indeed up to a week, the federal government has been working on a program of additional support that may have been required should Sydney have gone into a further lockdown. That meant last night we were able to bring to the table the enhanced measures that we're able to agree last night, and I thank the Premier in New South Wales and the Treasurer for the cooperative way we've worked together. Once again, we did it several weeks ago when we announced the initial package, and we've worked together again to provide this increased support, which would see business cash flow initiative extending out to businesses of 250 million turnover, maximum payments of 100,000, up to 40% of turnover, and a minimum payment of $1,500 to those smaller businesses. I also don't want people to forget that there's a $1,000 a week payment to sole traders as well. So those individual sole traders who are out there, may not be incorporated, the support was there in the initial package for you as well. This support dates back to the 18th of July. That means that 460,000 companies and 3 million employees of those companies will be supported through this direct support. It's necessary. The lockdown is going into a further month, and that means we need to continue to press forward in providing that support. Now, I note that also Victoria, we came to an agreement, the Premier and I, together with our Treasurers, and Treasurers will say a bit more about that later this afternoon. Victoria has gone into a further round of their business supports, and we're meeting those costs 50-50 with them, just like we have in New South Wales. And I thank both the Premier of Victoria and their Treasurer for working so closely with Josh and I in coming to that arrangement. And should South Australia need something similar, I've spoken to the Premier, Treasurer Frydenberg has spoken to Rob Lucas, and those discussions are ongoing should they need that support. The supports, though, aren't limited to business. We will be further increasing the levels of support provided to individuals through the COVID disaster payment right across the state of New South Wales. We'll be increasing from next week the maximum payment of $600 to $750, and we'll be increasing the payment for less than 20 hours from $375 to $450. In addition to that, we will be extending support to those who are on welfare payments and they will be able to receive a payment if they've lost more than 8 hours of $200. Now remember, they are already getting payments through the social welfare system. So in the case of someone who's on a full job seeker rate, they're getting just over around about $315 a week. So that $200 comes on top of that and does not in any way undermine the support payments they're getting through. It obviously goes in addition to the youth allowance payments, the pension payments. The whole point of this is that people aren't able to earn that extra income they were earning. And these payments are there to support them, to ensure that there is some recognition of that, that they have been prevented from doing that, and this will provide them some additional support. I might run you through also where we are currently on those levels of support, both to New South Wales and Victoria. In New South Wales so far, 812,372 grants of disaster payment assistance have been provided. That represents 463,558 individuals who have received direct support from the federal government to ensure they're getting through this crisis. The total amount out the door and in the bank accounts of those who need it in New South Wales is already $411.7 million. The great advantage of the direct COVID disaster payment system is it's fast, and it means that we can calibrate the support as I've announced here today. So if you're in New South Wales at the moment and you're one of those 463,000 people, this Thursday, the regular payment you got of $600 will clock through again and you'll receive that, or $375 if you're on that payment. If you're on the Sunday payment, Monday payment, you will get that $375 again. Next week, you will get a $750 or $450 payment. And next week, if you're on welfare benefits and you're seeking to get access to this, you can apply for that by going online on Tuesday, okay? So those welfare benefits, those support payments start from next week. You can go online and you can apply for those on Tuesday at Services Australia. Now, for those beneficiaries, they will be in an advantaged position from the perspective that they're already dealing with Services Australia. They already have their customer recognition numbers and those things, and so that online process should be very straightforward for you. In Victoria, I can also confirm that 143,855 claims have been made in Victoria. That's 140,998 individuals and $78 million, $78.899 million have been provided very promptly at the end of that lockdown already in Victoria. If you're in Victoria, you will still receive your second payment at the end of this week. So if you got that payment already, you will get a second payment in Victoria, and I think that enables people to have the confidence in how this system is working. And if we are faced with other short, sharp lockdowns in the future, then these are the arrangements that will be in place going forward. Can I also just note a couple of things in relation to New South Wales? We have to push through this lockdown in Sydney. There is no other shortcut. There's no other way through. We have to just hunker down and push through. What we're asking people to do in Sydney is to abide by the restrictions that have been put in place by the New South Wales government, to stay home, to get tested, to get vaccinated, and the additional opportunities to ensure that you can get the AstraZeneca vaccine with the walk-in clinics. We're already seeing a great response to that. So everybody in Sydney, that's the only way we're going to get through this. Stay at home, get tested, get vaccinated, continue to support one another. All of the mental health support lines are open to you. We've already got over a $17 million package that we've put in place to upgrade and put more funding into those services so they're available to you. And we will keep working with all the states and territories to ensure that we come through this. And as we've already seen once before, as we did with our economy after we came back from last year, we will come back just as strongly this next time because of the significant support that is being put in place. Happy to take questions.